Hi, my name is Erika, I'm a knitter from Brazil, and you are watching the 10th episode of my knitting podcast. Today, we have 4 finished objects, 3 whips, and no acquisitions, no plans, because I decided I want to film, after all, spring-summer/2026 knitting plans, so I won't jam it into this episode. And maybe we will talk just a little bit about some things in an off the needle segment. So let's dive in. Here you can see in one shot almost all of my finished objects. Almost all. The last one is here. So let's talk about them all, right? Well, let's start with the easier, because I already have an entire video talking about this. This is the Gallivanter Bag from the Squid Knits of Vintage Knitting. It's originally a pattern from 1917, but it was quite different. The 1917 model is quite different from the modernized model she made. Her version has this one with wooden needles, and there is one as a clutch. You will see all of them here now, the original one and the 2 modernized by Squid Knit. And I have an entire project vlog about this project, so I will leave the link in the description, the card here, and you can watch it after this one, or pause this one or watch everything about the making of this bag there. So let's go to the next one. I decided to knit this project because I wanted to work with my cotton scraps, and I had a lot of this particular color, and then when I was finishing it, I hadn't finished it yet, I still had to seam it. I started this project, which is a vintage turban from a 1950 magazine. I will show you the magazine in a moment. And I decided to knit it to use up the rest of this, and because then I could wear them like a set, you know? And also because I've been wanting to knit more stuff from my vintage magazines and from my stash. Well, I have been working from my stash for most of this year, and this will continue for a while, but well, I was in the mood to knit with scraps, so that's why soon after I finished this, I decided to dive directly into this lovely turban. I will show you it in my head right now. I will pick the book and show you the book, and then I will pick it up and show you the thing, how it's worked, right? So here you have it. Right now I have worn it with my hair tied in a low chignon here, and then I wrapped the turban around it. I can, of course, maybe adjust it better so the overlapping will be more perfect and no gaps will be here. I can use pins here. I didn't use any pins, only wrapped the turban itself here, and it has an interesting shape. I have seen someone making a fabric turban from the same era, and it had the same shape. It was the first time I saw those shapes, so it was quite interesting. If I can't find the short, I will leave the link below, in the cards, all that jazz. So I will show you the original one, and then we will talk a little bit just about this, because it was such a quick project, a simple project anyway. So here is one of my binded lots of vintage magazines. This one contains magazines from 1946 to 1950. These are the issues that are contained here. You can see the magazines themselves are pretty thick. I don't think there are 10 magazines here even, and it's quite thick, but there are so many gems here. You can see here, these are the patterns I would like to make, so I will show you this one. I think it's marked here somewhere. Yes, it's in one of the first magazines, and this magazine has so many pretty patterns. But look at that, how adorable. So this is the issue 36 from May and June 1950. The lady is wearing winter clothes here, because in Brazil May is still autumn, but June is already winter. And the pattern is this one. Here you can see how it's supposed to sit, and you can wear it like that with the ties hanging, or you can wear it like that. You can see here that it seems that it's wrapped here. It's wrapped on the top as well somewhere, and here it is the look of it when it's not folded in the head. It's like that. The entire pattern is just this paragraph, and it really doesn't need to be much more than that, to be honest, because it's very simple. Look, twins. But I will take it off and then I will talk about the pattern. I actually have translated it. I think I will put it somewhere so you can access it here. There you can see, and keep looking and you will see one problem of mine. I will give you 1 second to guess what happened in this project. Yeah, yarn chicken. This time I lost. The ties were supposed to have the same length. I considered unpicking the ends in here and undoing it a little bit to increase this and get them to the same size, but then I thought that most of the time I don't think I will wear it like she has with the ties hanging. I think I will always wrap it around my head, so I suppose that doesn't matter that they are uneven here. Well, and I think they are also uneven in width because we start here, right? We start here with a very small needle, making some rows. I think it's 16 rows in garter stitch. Then we double the number of stitches here and we knit like 30 centimeters, and then we divide it in the middle. We reserve one side and we keep knitting. We knit this leg for 40 centimeters. It looks like a baby pants, right? One of the size of a baby pants. And then you end it, reducing to half the stitches here and finishing with a few rows of garter as well to match this. I also have less garter here. You can see if you put them side by side, I have less garter. Whatever. Yes, and then you pick up the other side and do the same thing. The stitch is super simple. It's back and forth, and I think it's like yarn over one knitted together or something like that. I will place the correct here, and you repeat throughout the row, and then you will end up with this beginning, except maybe not with garter, but this beginning could be a nice beginning for a puff sleeve, you know. I think this stitch so simple, so effective, we could make an entire blouse out of it, or if not the entire blouse, maybe because we want to cover here this area, or just the entire thorax, we could at least make the sleeves in this stitch and it will be so pretty. So let me show you how you put this on. You get this rounded part and then you can easily put it around your hair like that, your head, see, and it will be like that. And then I will start with the larger, wrap it around my hair here, around the chignon too, and pull, and then I do the same from the other side, wrap it around here. Then let me face you again, and then I will adjust the front, right? Let me adjust that, and I can pick this part and fold it like that and remain it in place. Well, sort of. I think it has fallen here. Well, it's not so easy to make it in front of the camera. I wasn't able to make it in front of the camera, but it's kind of that. You will adjust it accordingly, you will twist it here to keep it in place, and I don't have pins here, but you can use pins to keep it more secure. It was a relatively quick project, not as quick as I wanted to be honest, but I was knitting other things in the meanwhile, so that's maybe the reason. It was a funny project. Maybe I will knit it again in the future, but you know, so many others. But this is a nice project, so here you have it. Let's go to the next finished object then. Loose hair now, so much more me. So then let's talk about the last thing on me that is a finished object, my Ranunculus sweater. Well, not a sweater, properly it's a tee. I think I have mentioned it before in some video, maybe the first one I made about my summer knitting plans, that I would like to make someday a summery Ranunculus, spring Ranunculus, maybe because this is still a thickish yarn. But I have finally made it. When I finished my Ghost Whisperer and the last podcast episode, I continued craving quick to knit patterns that I already wanted to knit for a long time. And then since I had this yarn in my stash and I was toying with the idea of transforming it into a Ranunculus, I decided to do just that. It was right before my trip that is shown in the Gallivanter Bag vlog. So I casted it on. I finished the yoke in 2 days, I think 2 or 3, and I already knew that I wanted to make the first size, and not only that, but I wanted to make it with a smaller needle because I wanted a fitted ranunculus. If you know the ranunculus pattern, you know that the first size gives you way much more positive ease that I am accustomed to. As many people before me, I was not attracted to the ranunculus at all the first times I saw it just in the hot right now of Bravery, but I changed my mind after seeing repeatedly from some podcasters how they made it in a summary version. I think the first time I saw one like this that I liked was with Well Loved Knits, Bethany. Yes, I really liked hers. And then I went searching among the thousands of projects that are there. I went searching for ones that were worked in a sport decay gauge and had this fitted look. And I found some. I used them as reference and inspiration. I picked the same needle size as theirs. I knitted it in 5mm needles, and I think these are in 4 or 4.5. And I also liked the ones that used summery fibers that got a good drape without being so flimsy, like the ones in mohair, for example. So I picked this yarn that is 100% mercerized cotton, sport weight. It's Charmy by Circle. I think it's sold in the US too. It's a very, very good yarn, very soft. I had worked already the Hobbiton Junior vest for my friend's son, this one, in this yarn, the same yarn, another color. It has marvelous colors. This yarn I had in my stash because I had bought it to knit a love leather top by Veronica Lindberg, inspired by the one knitted by Wool by Celine, which is a red one. However, this is magenta. I saw that hers was actually knitted in a red indeed, a pinkish red, but it was a red. So I found another color. I was in doubt between knitting the love leather with this one that I had already bought or using this yarn for something else and buying later the same yarn in the colorway Ruby that we have here, Ruby, which is similar but much more similar to hers, like a pinkish red. The recommended yarn of the love leather is a worsted weight, so I thought that if I was going to knit it with sport weight, I had to buy it double. However, I have been knitting stuff with a larger gauge and a thinner yarn lately, and I have been liking the drape of these garments. So I saw which was the actual number of the gauge, and I saw that I could very well knit this with a single strand. If I still wanted to use this color for the love leather, then I wouldn't need all the yarn I had. So that's why I started the Ranunculus. When I was in the trip, I had for the first time the chance to see the colorway Ruby, and I decided that was the one I want for the love leather. So I still have a good quantity. I had 3 skeins of this yarn, this entire top. It's cropped, alright. This is my natural waist here, and it hits just a little under it, and I can't wear it with all my pants. I made it calculating to wear it with my favorite pair of jeans. So for this it's perfect. I think I knitted it a little longer than my Coletti, this one, which has been proven this year one of my best garments, but it shrinked a little bit. It grew in width and it shrinked in length a little bit in blocking, this one. But it still works with my favorite pants and some of my other bottoms. I want to make more bottoms that are adequate to my body proportions, but that's another topic. From this yarn I still have then 2 skeins, and deciding what to make with them is part of my spring plans. I will only tell you that I am between a crochet pattern from my library and a vintage pattern for a cardigan that someone shared with me in a group of vintage pattern over on Facebook. So I think that's it for the Ranunculus. This pattern is so well known. People have knitted it repeatedly so many times, so I don't think that I have anything to add to the discourse about it. I can only tell you a couple things. If I were to knit another, I would definitely omit the front short rows. I don't think it looks horrible with the front short rows, but I personally prefer a deeper neck in the front. The other thing is probably I would knit just a little more here. I barely needed to crack into the second skein. I just did it for the sleeves, but I still have a bit from the first one. This is a modification from the patterns I used as example. I decided to make the long sleeve version but only knit short sleeves. The pattern has a short sleeve option, if you don't know, but it's a cap sleeve. When you divide for sleeves, you just bind off, and in the long sleeve option you put it on hold, and then you can knit the sleeves a little longer. When I finished it, I was also not very happy with the placement of the lace here. I wasn't sure I liked the lace all around, but it grew on me, so it's not a problem. Would I knit it again? I don't know. For a gift, this is a very good pattern because you can make a remarkable pretty top for someone quickly and using little yarn. But for myself, I think this is very particular. This is very recognizable, of course, within the community, but even so, I don't like the Ranunculus in other versions, only the summary one, precisely like this one. So I don't know if I would knit another identical just to change the color. Maybe. We'd never know the future, but right now I don't envision myself knitting multiple Ranunculus as many people do. People knit this pattern so many times because they say it's so modifiable, but what I was thinking about that is that in fact every pattern is very modifiable if you want it. Of course, unless you're talking about a very intricate color work, you can still actually remove the color work entirely from that pattern, use the bare bones to knit it single color, or you can remove texture from any pattern, you can change texture, you can change color work, you know. Any pattern is modifiable if you give yourself the freedom to modify it. So I think the Ranunculus is a little bit overestimated in this aspect. What people do with the Ranunculus, they could technically do with any pattern. But of course, maybe it would require a bit more math and you wouldn't have 30,000 examples to base your modifications in. So that's it, some food for thought here. Let's go to my last finished object today. And my last finished object, as all the others you saw today, was something you have never seen in the podcast before. The bag you have seen in another video if you watched that video. But all the others I just started and finished in between podcasts, and this was no exception. I actually started and finished 2 of this little one in this meanwhile. What is this? This is the Gerda Beret, another test knit for Fable Knitwear. And you can see it's not my size here. It's a baby size. Baby not, it's more like a kid size, like 3 to 5 years old. And I knitted it for my friend's son, but I didn't consult the mother, so if she doesn't like it for him, I will give it to another kid. But I made thinking about him because the color I had is very appropriate for that kid's color palette. I think it's some sort of soft autumn, maybe. So this is a very soft autumn color. It's the scraps from the yarn I used in my grandma's vest, which she received, by the way. She said it's a little large for her now because she has lost weight. I haven't seen her in a while, but I hope she can still wear it. I based it in the measurements from the previous vest. So, well, I used very little yarn here. I think less than 50 grams of the main and 5 grams of the white one, the contrast color. It's cute, right? It's a brioche beret with ribbed crown, 2 vicals, the Latvian braids here, one here and another one here. You start with the main color and you make the ribbon with the contrast, and then you switch back to the main to make the brioche, and you use the contrast only here. Well, this project, this little project, it was kind of a flash test knit because this pattern is a collab she's making with a film. This is the beret based in a character of the film. The film is North. I will show the poster here. It's a Norwegian film based on Hans Christian Andersen's Snow Queen or something like that, for what I have researched. So this is the girl's beret. The pattern probably was written quickly since it was a collab, so there were some typos there. As you know, I have only knitted brioche 2 times before, both flat, one in this headband and one lately in my Rebelsdale vest, which I really liked. I fell in love with brioche then. I did not fall in love with brioche in the round toe. Turned out you have to make some changes to knit brioche in the round, and in the first time I didn't. I knitted as you would knit it flat, and I got this, very different from this. I knit the entire thing because I didn't catch the typo. Someone else in the group chat caught that, and then I had to start again. I didn't unravel everything, I unraveled up to this. The stitches after a Latvian braid are quite loose, so I used them to pick them back up, made the increases and started back. Then I remade the first brioche rows a few times because I wasn't getting the thing, I wasn't grabbing the idea of it, until I watched a tutorial by Nimble Needles in which he explains the thing, and it was like a light in my head. And then I picked it up and I finished it quite quickly. The pattern also told us to knit much more length here, but in the conversation in the chat, we decided that maybe for the smaller sizes and even for the larger sizes, it would be better to knit less length, so we could get the measurements from the pattern, and I think these changes will be incorporated into the pattern. And here you have it. It ended up being very quick after this modification. After that, I finished the rest in one day. When we had the chat, I already had the measurement that we were supposed to knit in this after this modification, and then I just made the Latvian braid and started the crown and the pompon I had ready from the other time. So finished it, woven in the ends, and yesterday it was ready. So I will offer it to my friend, and well, if it isn't destined for the same little boy that got the Hopton Junior vest, it will be destined for another little kid that will look so cute with it. As for my whips, my friends, I think I will jam them 3 into just one segment right now, because I don't have much progress in any of them. First, colorwork card, no progress at all. It is in the state in which you have last seen it. I finished both of the cuffs of the sleeves, and I started the chart in one of them, but I haven't advanced since because I was working in those other things. When I was finally going to knit it, I was working in this, and also I was working in my other vintage cardigan, which this, yes, got some progress. I don't know if I showed it to you, but I think I didn't. I only recorded it for the project vlog. It's the back of my other vintage cardigan that I was knitting since January. Done completely, and I have substituted here the stair step bind off for short rows based on a Roxanne Richardson's tutorial, which I will link below, and it's waiting now for the fronts, which I have also started. This is one of the fronts, the ribbon only and the smallest needle ever that I am knitting. This is now my TV knitting, which I haven't been using very much because of the other things. And I picked back the other sleeve and knitted just a little bit in it, but I will keep going on it. So I think there is a chance that I will actually finish that cardigan this year, which is great. And the last whip that we have to talk about is my blanket. It gained 3 more rows, hexagon rows, right? In comparison to the last time you saw it. I won't be able to show it to you here, I think, but I think I will film it separately and overlay the footage. I will use it as B-roll, and I already am doing the next one. I finished this morning before recording. This is November 1st. Today is November 2nd. I wait until the end of the day and I only crochet the previous day in the following day, because then I will have the definite number of the temperature and not only the predictions. So this is the ending of October, pretty stable, right? And then this is already November. It's starting to get warm, but we have, to be honest, more temperate days than I would believe, because yellow is 20 to 24 degrees. It's not so hot for Brazil. And that's it, my folks. I think everything I have to show you today has been shown. Let me just talk a little bit about a particular issue of interest in the Off the Needle segment. I have started watching Call the Midwife with my boyfriend. We watched one entire season and I think half the other. I had heard about this series in vintage groups and also engineering knits videos about the Call the Midwife. I haven't yet watched the videos because I wanted to watch the series so I could understand the videos. I would like to say if I would like the series, and it's quite nice. It's a calming English series, British series, a very BBC style, you know. You have some interesting cases there, some interesting plots, but mostly it's not over dramatic, not in very drastic, so to say. It's a series you can follow lightly, kinda. It's a nice, very nice series. But I want to talk to you about the knitwear in the series because it's so nice. It's very inspiring. The series starts set in 1958. There's a lot of knitting and crochet there. The decor is full of crochet, and there are other crafts too. Since it's a video about midwives, there is a lot of babies and they're often using knitted clothes or wrapped in knitted blankets, and the ladies are also knitting very nice vintage jumpers. I won't talk to you about those jumpers, I will show them quickly here, but I won't talk to you in detail about them because I want to make a video about it. I have been searching for the patterns of Call the Midwife, the patterns that were used to make the jumpers they use in the show, or ones that are very similar that you could use to recreate that to your heart's content. I want to recreate some for me, notably this, which are so far my favorite, and I'm collecting the material by now, but it might be my next pattern roundup when I do a pattern roundup, which I don't know when will be, because I still have to make the medieval pattern roundup. I didn't forget that. I will make it. Both are now in the research stage. I wanted to give you a heads up because maybe you want to watch the series too, and if you have seen it, what do you think about it? Did you like? Do you like the characters? Do you like the plots they have there? Do you like the knitwear? What are your favorite characters and what are your favorite pieces? And well, let's chat a little bit about Call the Midwife. If you haven't watched it, I would invite you to. If you are a knitter or a crocheter, you might really enjoy it, and just if you are a person in general, you might really enjoy it because it has some drama, but it's cozy overall. So yeah, I think that's what I had for this episode. I hope I will edit it soon. I was waiting for a window to make it because, to be honest, in the last few weeks I had been working a lot in my actual work, you know, translating and other translation related stuff. So I didn't have time to film this and much less to edit. To be honest, it's the beginning of the month now, so tomorrow and on I will start to make a lot of work related stuff again, and I want to knit my current few whips, but I still want to deliver this video for you soon. I will want to film and deliver to you my spring/summer plans before the summer starts at least, and the roundup someday. So be happy, be healthy, happy knitting in the meanwhile. Watch the other stuff in the channel if you haven't. Yeah, by the way, if you're new here, welcome, and you're invited to subscribe and keep following to follow my knitting journey and the things I like to explore. I should say about my future plans that I plan on using these things very much more. These and my other magazines, I will try to match my patterns, my Brazilian patterns in this case, and my yarn, so I can make a very local and a very unique summer wardrobe. Well, that's it for today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a nice time till then. Bye bye.